Hello, beautiful souls. Today's video is all about love, connection, and the little things that make relationships bloom. Upon her divorce, Evelyn found herself moving back in with her mother, accompanied by her 1.5-year-old daughter, Abigail. Elizabeth, Evelyn's mother, had consistently cautioned her about the importance of choosing a partner wisely. "I told you I had reservations about him," Elizabeth lamented. "Now what's your plan? Will you and the baby rely on me? Your supposedly intelligent husband managed to abscond, leaving you with nothing. You should have taken legal action against him," Elizabeth chided. Evelyn responded with a subdued sigh, attempting to explain her situation and reassure her mother that she wouldn't be a burden forever. She aimed to tread carefully until her daughter began kindergarten, at which point she could seek employment and restore stability. "For legal proceedings, I'd need funds for an attorney," Evelyn explained. "And truth be told, we didn't accumulate much during our marriage. Our belongings, well, we rented an apartment. So, pursuing that avenue might prove futile. Regardless, I'll manage. I can make do without him. Let Providence judge his actions." Evelyn's attempts at justification did little to placate Elizabeth, who remained discontent. Elizabeth expressed her fatigue, emphasizing that she now had to provide support for both Evelyn and Abigail. "Good heavens, I'm exhausted. It's all on me, as well as your grandmother. When will I catch a break?" In all honesty, Elizabeth didn't harbor much resentment towards her grandmother. Though elderly, she remained independent, cooking and maintaining her home despite its size. The grandmother, Scarlett, only made simple requests of her daughter, such as buying groceries and medicine, yet even those requests irritated Elizabeth. Scarlett stood as Evelyn's sole pillar of support following her divorce. Evelyn's elder sister, Grace, criticized her and insisted she should have married a more financially stable man. However, Scarlett consoled Evelyn, reminding her that mistakes are part of life, especially in matters of love where outcomes are unpredictable. She assured Evelyn that she wasn't alone in her missteps, referencing her own daughter's youthful blunders that had been vainly warned against. "Your mother's preaching at you now, but she once faltered too," Scarlett shared. "And above all, look at the joy you have. Abigail is an immense blessing. Can you truly call that a mistake?" Scarlett cherished visits from Evelyn and Abigail, often accompanied by heartfelt conversations over tea and strawberry jam while Evelyn tidied up. Evelyn's relationship with her mother grew closer, and then Scarlett fell ill with pneumonia. Elizabeth initially cared for her, but Evelyn stepped in, her free schedule and the refreshing walk to Scarlett's house with little Abigail making her assistance feasible. Elizabeth welcomed the break from daily visits, given her mother's current high demands. Scarlett found solace in Evelyn's presence, a stark contrast to Elizabeth's frequent rudeness. For about a month, Evelyn made daily visits to her grandmother, sometimes asking her sister Grace for a car ride during inclement weather. Unfortunately, Grace often declined, citing various frivolous excuses like lack of time, waiting for her boyfriend, wet nail polish, or other trivial pretexts. Grace held the belief that leaving Grandma alone for a day wouldn't cause any harm. Ultimately, Grandma recovered and life resumed its routine. However, now it was solely Evelyn who visited Scarlett, as both mother and sister quietly shifted this responsibility to her. Yet, for Evelyn, this wasn't an obligation but a genuine demonstration of care and love for her family member. Then, misfortune struck when Scarlett had a fall resulting in a fractured femur. Hospitalization followed for a few weeks, after which she was released with strict orders for extended bed rest due to the slow-healing fracture. Upon Scarlett's return home, the question arose of who would attend to her needs. Evelyn proposed relocating her grandmother to her mother's house, but Elizabeth and Grace firmly opposed the idea. Declaring their unwillingness to care for Scarlett, they cited the challenges they faced while tending to her during her pneumonia. Grace pointed out that their home only had 3 rooms, leaving no space for Grandma. Baffled, Evelyn glanced between her mother and sister before pleading, "Do you actually want her to be alone? Can't we care for her, Mother? She's bedridden. Should we just abandon her?" Overwhelmed, she continued, "If you're so concerned, maybe you should move in with her. It's not a bad idea. If you're not working and staying at home, it'd be a productive use of your time. You could look after Grandma without the need for constant back and forth." Grace's face lit up with a hint of satisfaction at the notion. "If you're not in agreement, then I'll have no choice but to arrange for my mother to move into a nursing home. They have medical professionals who can provide better care than we can," Elizabeth declared, fixing her gaze intently on Evelyn. Elizabeth's statement left Evelyn with no option but to consent to the move, much to the satisfaction of both Grace and Elizabeth. Upon learning of Evelyn and Abigail's decision to live with her, Grandma became emotional and shed tears. Swiftly, Evelyn reassured her, "We're all deeply concerned about you. Mom wanted you to move in with her, but I thought it would be more comfortable for you to remain at home. That's why I suggested moving in with you. Please don't worry, everything will be all right." Evelyn stretched the truth regarding her mother's intentions to create the illusion that the entire family cared, not just herself. However, Scarlett, being intimately familiar with her daughter, saw through the fabrication, knowing Evelyn was attempting to shield her feelings. Despite this, Evelyn and Abigail made the move to live with her grandmother, a more favorable situation for Evelyn compared to her mother's home. The responsibility of organizing her personal life wasn't attributed to her, and Elizabeth visited her mother monthly, while Grace, focused on her own life, rarely came around. As time progressed, Scarlett gradually regained her strength and mobility within the house. Evelyn had already discovered a suitable garden for Abigail and was actively searching for employment. However, misfortune struck again when Scarlett suffered a sudden stroke. Fortunately, prompt first aid saved her mind and memory, but her hands trembled uncontrollably, and her ability to walk was compromised. Her need for assistance grew significantly, leading Evelyn to call her mother for support. "Mom, the situation is dire," Evelyn began. "We need to bring Grandma to our home. I have to work, and I can't be with her every minute. At least at your house, there's always someone around. We can all take care of her collectively." However, her mother responded with a strong negative reaction. "Absolutely not. If you're going to work, then she'll have to wait for you," her mother retorted. "Frankly, I don't understand why you're so insistent on working right now. Just stay with her, rely on her pension. What's gotten into you?" Following this sharp response, her mother abruptly switched off her phone. Overwhelmed, Evelyn found herself in tears, unable to comprehend why the elderly were being treated so callously. After regaining her composure, she glanced into her grandmother's room. Thinking Scarlett was asleep, she was surprised when the old woman spoke up. "I'm so sorry you have to take care of me. I realize I've become a burden, and you're the only one who cares for me," Scarlett confessed. Evelyn attempted to reassure her, explaining that everyone cared for her deeply and she was trying to find the best solution for everyone's comfort and happiness. However, Scarlett stopped her with a trembling hand, silencing her words. "I overheard your conversation with your mother," Scarlett began, her eyes showing awareness. "I was awake, and I know your mother well, even without hearing it. She's never been one to extend help to others, her focus has always been on herself. I understand she can't stand me. She won't lift a finger to ease my life. You, on the other hand, treat me with such kindness and love, and it truly touches my heart." Evelyn found herself at a loss for words and simply caressed Scarlett's trembling, aged hand. After a few moments, Scarlett continued, determinedly stating that she wouldn't allow Evelyn to be left with nothing once she passed away. She expressed her determination to ensure Evelyn's independence from her mother and sister. The next morning, Scarlett instructed Evelyn to arrange for a notary. "Why?" Evelyn inquired. Scarlett's response was enigmatic. "You don't need to worry about that now. Trust me, everything will be all right. Your mother and Grace won't leave me in a vulnerable state. I have faith they won't do anything harmful. Darling, you'll need to take care of this once I'm gone. I won't find peace on the other side if I don't manage it now. Follow my instructions, and my soul will rest." Evelyn complied with her grandmother's wishes, willing to do whatever it took to ensure Scarlett's peace of mind. 2 months later, Scarlett passed away, and Evelyn's fears materialized. Immediately after the family laid Scarlett to rest, Elizabeth inquired about the will, igniting quarrels and disputes within the family. With ample time on their hands, Elizabeth and Grace made their way to Scarlett's house, ready to create a tumultuous scene. "Do you think I'm just going to let you have it all?" Grace's outburst was fueled by spontaneous anger, her hands wringing in frustration. "I deserve a share of the inheritance too. I was counting on it," she continued. "Evelyn, think about what you've done. We're family." "This isn't right," Elizabeth chimed in. "In all honesty, the inheritance should have been rightfully passed to me. I would have distributed it as I saw fit. How did you manage to alter everything? Did you threaten her, saying you'd leave if she didn't give you the house? Or perhaps you tarnished my name and Grace's?" Elizabeth's voice was tinged with anger. Evelyn was taken aback by the accusations she heard from both her mother and sister. "Shame on both of you," she retorted. "You're well aware that I wanted us to care for Grandma together. Mother, if you had come more frequently and not just for brief moments, you'd have realized I always spoke kindly of you and defended you. But Grandma wasn't blind. She could see through things clearly. She knew neither of you truly cared about her. And now you're accusing me of such terrible things." Grace's patience finally snapped, and she interjected, "Exactly. Who else is to blame? You sat here with Grandma, playing the saint. You didn't need to utter a single word against us. It was evident in the way you looked at us. Maybe she was losing her mind, and you took advantage of that. Did you even verify if all of this is legal? Perhaps she was against it. Maybe you coerced her into it. After all, she remembered she had a granddaughter. And a daughter. I'm certain she wouldn't have forgotten us. It's your fault." Evelyn suddenly grew composed, realizing that her every word would be misconstrued. Her sister and mother were set against her, and she recognized that proving her grandmother's independent decision would be an uphill battle. "But tell me, Grace, how could Grandma remember you when you never visited her? Not even for a few minutes. You were engrossed in your own affairs, only now setting them aside to create a scene. You don't understand. Grandma loved all of us," Evelyn continued. "She simply decided that my needs were greater than yours. She made a choice she deemed important and necessary." Elizabeth's expression tightened, and she said, "Yes, I can see just how much she cared for us. It almost seems like she did everything to defy us," Elizabeth mused. "Listen, Evelyn, let's do what's right. Let's sell the house and split the proceeds equally between the three of us. That's the best course of action." Evelyn might have considered the proposition, but she had her daughter to consider. "Yes, Mother, I will do what's right," she replied. "What's right for me and Abigail, not for you. In this world, nobody needed me and my daughter. Only my grandmother cared for us," Evelyn continued. "Thanks to her, I now have a home that belongs to me, a place where no one can accuse me of living off someone else and belittle me. I won't sell this house. It will remain mine and my daughter's." Time passed, and Elizabeth attempted to contest the will without success. The witnesses confirmed Evelyn's unwavering care for her grandmother, leaving Elizabeth unable to prove her own dedication. Following the trial, her mother and sister cut ties with Evelyn, deeming her a treacherous betrayer. Evelyn didn't regret her decision. She was merely saddened by her mother's and sister's callousness and greed. Evelyn harbored no remorse, foreseeing a day when her mother might require assistance. She was convinced that Grace might not step up to care for her. Perhaps then, her sister would understand the loneliness and lack of support. That's the end of my story. I hope it has inspired you, entertained you, or made you think. If you want to hear more stories from me, be sure to click the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when I upload a new video. And let me know what you think of this story in the comments section. I love reading your opinions and suggestions. Until then, stay awesome.